Chapter 91, Bonus, Venerable Senior, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Well. Barry felt hesitant, and William slowly nodded. Show him in the usual way, William said, and his few words didn't miss the keen senses of Gran. Even though he was overexcited at this moment, he still was a dark gold spirit master. And for those high-grade spirit masters, their senses were the sharpest thing they got in life. What do you mean by that? It's a secret, and just as a typical kid, William tucked out his tongue and teased the uncle. Damn you! How can anyone exchange a few words with you without losing his temper? Damn kids! Uncle, it's indeed a secret. Barry tried to step in and help William in this, and he did many great things for me. So please, let him keep his own secrets. Humph, fine. Gran could only resign to the will of his beloved niece. Show me then, through the normal way all of the spirit world here knows of. He said the last words while focusing his eyes over William. And the latter didn't let this remark pass by without commenting as usual. Like Uncle said, with what's known here. You. Uncle. And just before another fight would erupt, Barry said, Here, see for yourself. She ingested her bronze spiritual power into the orange crystal, making it shine slightly in front of Gran's eyes. And this managed to finally distract him from William. You. And when he saw the bronzed-colored spirit power inside the crystal, he started to tremble, not believing his eyes. This is all thanks to William. Barry stressed over this point again, and that's why Grandpa asked for him to come. He wanted to see and reward the man who helped me. Man, for a moment there, all the excitement faded, and his eyes twitched from the corner. Gran already could smell fire. He knew girls always tend towards those who are kind and generous, all caring and attentive to them. And what William did was something that would be least called a lifetime debt. William, by the way, I forgot to ask, and when he felt this nervous as he could already see where this little relation between these two kids would lead to in the future, Barry suddenly shouted as she jumped towards William, grabbed him by the arm and whispered. When I woke up, I didn't find any of the papers you left me. What? This time, it was William's turn to get shocked. How so? I left them for you to keep studying when you woke up. This. How? I asked, and all the guards who were there by my side denied seeing any papers. Even my grandpa asked himself. Her tone and attitude told William she wasn't lying. And from the side, Gran could hear what she said. What? Did someone dare to steal from my clan's precious rose? His tone changed, but it was nothing compared to what William was feeling right now. He knew that leaving the papers in her possession was risky, but he thought that no one would risk and try to get these from her. Or else, just like how Gran reacted here, this would bring forth the wrath of the entire Long clan on whoever dared to do such a crime. I will personally look into this, but what William said next made Gran size him up and down. And when William noticed that gaze, he added, I never tolerate anyone stealing something precious from me, or from my close-up friends. But unlike the wrath these two in front of her felt, Barry felt regret and blamed herself for losing these papers. They were precious to you, Anne. She wanted to add more but words choked in her throat and couldn't say any more. Don't worry, I got them all in my head. William mistook her thoughts, and said to reassure her. But from her perspective, she didn't see these papers as not only the magical solution that saved her life and freed her from such misery. She considered them as the first real gift William gave to her. And to her, this first gift was priceless. And losing it was a grave crime to her. And I promise I'll find whoever did this and properly punish him and whoever helped him. And in front of her eyes, William said, taking such a heavy vow on himself. Good lad, Gran softly muttered in a tone that wasn't heard by any of the kids standing here. He could feel the determination William placed in the words he just said. Leave this issue over to us, kiddo. And just as William's words just landed and left such a deep impression inside those present here, a strong and deep voice came from the direction of the mansion's entry. Patriarch. Grandpa. William saw an old-looking, yet strong and healthy old man coming out from the big gate of the mansion. And he wasn't alone, as he was followed by an entourage of fierce-looking strong spirit masters and Barry's father, whose face was slightly darker than usual. I'm growing more interested in knowing the current bad state of the academy. Humph. I don't know what that old man is doing out there. Leaving such rodents infest the full place without retaliating. As if this was something funny. The strong and deep voice of Kong landed, expressing how truly mad he was. Venerable Senior, if William would call Barry's father and Uncle Senior, then he'd call this legendary old man Venerable Senior. And as he cupped his hands and slightly bowed, the other three on the side who stayed silent for all this time followed suit. At least you got some manners for such an ex-porter. Barry's grandpa was the biggest head in the entire clan, so he acted in such carefree way while sizing up and down William. Although part of his rage was directed towards William, he had to keep his image in front of everyone. BL.net. Chapter 92 The interrogation begins. You're listening at novelfull.audio. Besides, he knew that using force to threaten this kid wouldn't work. He just heard about the situation between his friend and this little kid. Kong felt puzzled when he heard the headmaster's words, but he kept all the guesses inside until he'd see through this kid first. In his eyes, this little kid was riddled in a thick fog of mysteries and a good deal of suspicion. Kong watched how this little and weak bronze spirit master managed to win his fierce son in wits. Even if he saw him fight before in the forest, every time he saw William, he got new insights about his seemingly bizarre abilities. Just like Gran, what William did didn't miss his keen eyes. And that old and experienced spirit master had to admit to himself, everything William was doing was out of his vast scope of knowledge. And that made him more determined in squeezing more info and secrets out of William, getting to know his true essence and where his loyalty truly lied. If he was on their side, then Kong found himself unable to refute the words his friend spoke to him before. William could become their sharpest blade, or their Achilles heel. Come, this isn't a proper place for our long talk, and as he said it, Kong turned and left without waiting for William's answer. Don't tell me he wanted to do the same as that crazy headmaster did back then. William couldn't help but inwardly sigh, cursing his luck with those related to the girls he met. He also suspected that Kong knew about what he did back at the forest. Adding what he did here with Callum, William could already expect a long session of interrogation and intense talk. Least to his knowledge that Kong knew much more than what he expected. If William got to know what Kong knew, read the entire situation, he might not have complied before to come here and meet up with Kong. Others will wait here, and like a god declaring his edict to mortals, the deep and strong voice of Kong came just when he vanished inside. Go, what are you standing all idle here for? And when William hesitated, Barry's father said in such a bitter way. And from the side, Gran couldn't help but inwardly sigh. He could tell that Kong planned to squeeze the truth out of William. And he didn't know if he should feel sympathetic over this kid or laugh at his misfortune. What William did here, and what he showed them were just the tip of the iceberg. There were still many secrets lying in his little head, and it was clear that Kong decided to crack everything in this meeting. And that made Gran finally feel sad for William. William followed Kong inside the huge mansion to be met with a vast hall with many paintings on the wall. Each one was inside a golden frame, while showing a fierce-looking man. This is our long series of ancestors. The old patriarch appeared next to William, looking like a mountain with his immense pressure, each patriarch since the founder till my father is here. What about you? William asked, without even looking at the old man's direction. I'll be hanged over these walls after my death, Kong laughed. Come, let's go inside that room over there. It's well protected with many incantations, making it impossible for any outsider to eavesdrop on our little talk. William's perception about Kong's knowledge of what he did back at the forest deepened when he heard these words. Least to his knowledge that this meeting wasn't going to be a simple one, at least not just over what he did back at the forest or how he helped Barry recover from her illness. So. You were a porter a few days ago, is that correct? As William followed him into that room, William found a small room as the old man described. It was only 5 meters wide and 10 meters long. In the middle, a small oval-shaped wooden table was there alongside 6 small seats where the two sat opposite to each other. And when they did, the old patriarch said with a serious look over his face. Kong's eyes showed a weird tinge of coldness, as if he wasn't meeting up with a kid, but a formidable foe. Don't you need to activate the protective enchantment here first? William slowly said, looking calm and collected despite the unexplained slight enmity he felt from Kong. Oh, for a young fellow and an ex-porter, you know a lot, the old patriarch laughed. Don't worry, the moment I passed through this door, these enchantments got activated. Yes, I was a porter before. And you are now a spirit master, right? Kong kept his eyes glaring over William, who felt the pressure but wasn't affected by it. I'm a bronze-grade spirit master, William said while keeping his face calm. That's something amazing, and quite suspicious, don't you agree? Kong jumped straight towards the main topic he wanted to meet William for. You do know that I'm not on the side of traitors, right? William met such heavy interrogation with a challenging answer. The old patriarch kept looking at him for a long minute in silence before slowly shaking his head. I can't tell if you are on our side or theirs. Why? William felt little shock when he heard such an answer. And then a bad omen enveloped him entirely the next instant. He thought by what he did to Barry, what he did back at the forest, and even his actions at the trial back at the academy must have proven his side. And yet for a reason he couldn't fathom, this old man in front of him wasn't convinced by any of that. But that short and instant answer from William surprised Kong. Why are you the one asking questions here? Don't you know who I am? Chapter 93 The Issue of the Thief. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old patriarch was surprised by the way this meeting was heading. He thought William would act like any kid, scared and shaking in his boots while sitting in front of him. Even if Kong didn't see William as a simple kid, he was still a weak spirit master. Any spirit master below dark gold grade would feel the same. And those in dark gold grade would look at him in respect and veneration. But what he felt from the little kid in front of him was nothing. Not awe, not fear, and surely not getting affected by the pressure of his presence at all. This was the first time for Kong to meet William face to face like this. Even when he spied on him, he never had the chance to test this kid personally. I'm just talking, aren't we here for that? And as the old patriarch was examining William again, recalling the brief words of the headmaster about how William acted before him when he got mad, the latter responded in such a collected way. You do know that you are full of mysteries. In my eyes, you are a hard kid to read. Kong decided to jump over William's unexpected attitude and paused for a moment before heavily adding, and I hate those with deep secrets. Every spirit master has his own secrets. And I'm not different from them. But no one has such secrets, or weird ways to do things in our world. The things Kong meant and what William got from his words were totally different. Aren't you happy that I saved Barry's life? As William realized this old man was dead fixed over knowing his secrets, he changed his way from defending by evasion into defending by being bold. Don't tell me you did it without expecting any reward. I didn't do it for that. William shook his head in disappointment. I did it for her sake. It's love then. Or just a trick to get my clan's trust to infiltrate us later on. At this point, William became more aware that something was wrong here. This old man in front of him wasn't fazed by his help to Barry when he mentioned it. Instead, Kong twisted the entire thing and related it to the Dark Spirit Masters again. And that was something that made William be on high alert. Don't get me wrong, William's face turned all serious as he decided to clear such doubts once and for all. I do care about her. Such a kind-hearted spirit master in such a dark world filled with evil intentions and turbulent times are rare. I'm flattered by these words. How old are you, by the way? Old enough to know my limits. William's answer made the old patriarch gaze deeper over him. Everything pointed out that William wasn't a simple kid, not even close from being a normal one. Even his selection of words left the old man in front of him puzzled. And such a daring attitude also made Kong not able to decide if he should buy what William said or be more suspicious. How could a kid be so careful and meticulous about his words, in such a way to show his support to his granddaughter and also draw a line between him and her? Don't tell me you don't like my clan's precious gem. Kong threw in a bait to see what William truly thought about Barry. The old patriarch decided to test William by handling one troublesome issue at a time. After all, he felt trying to squeeze the entire truth out from William in one big talk about everything wasn't going to work. Kong had to take a much slower approach with William, discussing the things that birthed out doubt one after another separately. After all, this little kid proved to be quite formidable in using words, able to extricate himself from any situation Kong forced upon him. I can't dream about getting over the clouds without learning how to fly first, right? And William persisted in his stance to avoid getting more trouble here. Such wise words coming from such a small kid. Who are you? Really, who are you? Kong still pressured William with his cold and hostile eyes. Even after speaking with William for a few minutes, Kong felt the direction this discussion was heading was way off what he initially expected and planned. And so he asked him directly the most puzzling question he and his friend were trying their best to find an answer to. Someone who is just trying to help, someone who isn't on the side of the Dark Spirit Masters. In fact, I'm considering them my sworn enemies. William avoided answering such a tricky question about his true identity and shifted it to stress over where his loyalty lied. After all, he felt that his loyalty was under doubt by such a scary spirit master, but we got a problem that needs our attention first. That thief you mean? The old man got what William meant, and also got what he wanted to do by changing the topic in such a sudden way. But Kong decided to follow William's bait, to close such a matter once and for all before returning back to what truly mattered to him. It's not that simple. William shook his head when he felt how lightly Kong was taking this issue. Whoever took these papers knew they belonged to your clan's precious girl. And yet, he dared to do it. Such a wrong decision would cost him his life. What if he was still in the academy? What do you mean? The old patriarch didn't place much importance over this little issue. He knew that William was the one to write these down, and that meant the lost information could be replicated by him. In his eyes, he considered what happened as a mere mistake, a greedy moment where one of the dirty folks back at the academy lost control over himself and took these papers to inspect them. Chapter 94 Something Big is Coming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kong took what William said here as a way to change the tide of this discussion. But he never expected that William wasn't trying to do just so. In fact, William had another motive for shifting the topic over this issue. He wanted to achieve another goal by speaking about this topic right now. What if the one who stole these belonged to the agents of the Dark Spirit Masters in the Academy? The real traitors. Kong eyed William in suspicion before asking. What makes these traitors my Barry's things? What's so special about your training manuals? Kong already knew what Barry missed were the training manuals provided to her by William. And in his eyes, no matter how special these things were, there was no real motive for those traitors to act and risk exposing themselves for them. What if I told you that I got these from my master? William paused for a long moment, letting the silence add more weight to what he was going to say next. After all, he shifted the topic to this issue not to divert the attention of Kong away from suspecting him, but to wipe out such suspicion once and for all. What if I told you that my master got these manuals from the outside world? Bullshit. The answer came swiftly and decisively from Kong. No one can reach out there. It's our dream to reach such a stage. William knew he piqued the interest of that old man, despite his show of rage and rejection of what he just said. I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but Dark Spirit Masters are this strong and unique thanks mainly to their ability to get in contact with the outer world, and William knew he had to spill part of his beans if he wanted to clear up his name. Living in the academy while someone scary like Kong was suspecting him. That would be a life William wouldn't desire at all. And like them, my master has her own ways to get in touch with the outside world. Stop saying nonsense. That's why the methods that I learned from my master look weird and unheard of in your eyes. That's why anything I did would look alien and suspicious. Bullshit. What if you are one of the dark spirit masters? What if the one you are calling as a master is one of them? Then tell me, why two mighty and formidable training manuals, two which my master described as being one of the rare manuals that held true paths towards the gate of this world to the outside one, got stolen from the hands of Barry. This time, William managed to silence the old man in front of him after exposing his true colors. William suspected that Kong was questioning his loyalty and thinking of him as part of the dark spirit master world by a slight amount before. But after pushing this old man to shout and expose his inner thoughts like this, William became 100% sure of that possibility. And so, William decided to wrap all the disasters he met so far and twist facts to serve his goal. Then explain to me why the dark spirit masters will place such importance at framing and even killing someone like me. Because you jumped over ranks, turning from a porter to a bronze spirit master rank. Kong fumed out his rage, answering William openly without showing any reservation like before, or else this is all a show, for us to believe in you. A show that can end my life. No way. If not for the headmaster's intervention and protection, I'd have been branded as a traitor and got killed or imprisoned for my entire life. How come the dark spirit masters frame someone belonging to them and wanting him to get exposed in the first place? I don't know, you tell me. Kong meant that as if William was part of their circle. So, William should know the answer to that question, not him. And on top of that, yet William didn't directly answer him, I'm just a bronze spirit master. Even if I created a miracle of transcending ranks, I'm still too damn weak to affect anything in the entire world's grand affairs. And yet they placed a mark over my head and wanted me dead. Even the things I left for your Barry ended up getting stolen. Why is that? Why? William kept calmly speaking, yet his words seemed quite heavy and explosive. Against such will and confidence, against such logic and strong words, even Kong was out of options on how he should answer this kid. So Kong remained silent, and William returned to use his protective spell. It's because of my master. It's because of what she is capable of. It's because of what she knows. Who is she then? Why didn't she show herself up here and meet me and the others? Kong finally couldn't hold back his other suspicion about the true identity of William's master. She doesn't want to meet you, any of you, and when William made up such an answer on the spot to extricate himself from such a tricky question, he never expected what he said to stir up storms inside the old man sitting in front of him. When you say it this way. Just when the old patriarch was speaking, wanting to learn more about the identity of his mysterious master, he paused. William mistook it for something he realized, a clue or something. Or perhaps he got convinced by what he said and finally cleared all suspicion off him. Least he knew that things were going to turn for the worse in this part of the world. And when the old man stood slowly on his feet, William knew things weren't like what he guessed. What happened? Something big is coming. Kong looked at William for a long minute. Don't tell me. It's related to you. Chapter 95, A Disaster. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Me. William pointed to himself without knowing what was going on here. You look like a magnet to trouble. The old patriarch started walking towards the direction of the closed door. Anyway, you are going to remain here a little longer. My clan is under attack by a swarm of monsters for the first time in a few hundred years. William didn't think the reason he came up with to clear up his name would backfire and bring such a disaster on this clan, on him. And as the old man vanished from William's sight, William kept standing in his place while only one explanation rose up in his mind. This attack. It was indeed coming here for him. Do you think it's that easy to get rid of me? He clenched both fists, looking like a wounded veteran spirit master at this moment. Just as William went outside the mansion, he found a large commotion waiting for him. Everyone was running in such a scary way. And William didn't find this weird. He knew that in his past life, when a wide monster outbreak and swarm arrived at any place, all the humans would lose their homes and their lives. It wasn't a light matter at all. He was one of those few, lucky enough to run away with his life intact from a similar disaster. He didn't ever hear about such a monster outbreak to happen before in his past life at the Long Clan. But that doesn't mean this swarm is like that one. At least there are lots of years left from that doomsday, he thought to himself while watching such a familiar scene playing again in front of him. Uncle. As he saw Gran, he didn't stop himself by courtesy and almost jumped in his way to block his path. What? It's not the time to chit-chat. Gran gave him a deep look, one that held more of a threat than a warning. What's the grade of this outbreak? What kind of monsters are we going to face? William's next words left that elder and uncle hesitant. He said it in such a serious way, making Gran unable to decide if this little boy was just acting tough or what. It's still too early to decide, but at least it's a grade 3 monster outbreak. Gran paused for a long moment, out of hesitation before watching his beloved niece running to stand beside William with the other 3 who came with the ladder. The early reports say they are scarlet-type monsters, one that we are well experienced to deal with. Gran then heard his name being shouted from one direction before he started to move away. Don't risk your lives. It's not worth it. Trust us, the old men, to do our job and protect you, kids. He said these caring words not just for anyone around except for his beloved Barry. Yet Barry once turned her eyes away from the far departing uncle's back. She got a bad feeling from that dark look over the face of William. She started to look up at William as someone who never felt any danger or fear, someone who knew everything and could solve any situation. She learnt about what part of what he did in the forest from her father when William went inside the mansion to meet with her grandpa. She heard before about his amazing deeds at the forging department. She also learnt about his fantastic meeting with the academy headmaster, making his image in her mind grow much bigger and grander. Not to mention what she personally experienced with him. All this made her take that grave look on his face to be bad news, very bad news. What AF * king bad luck is this? And just as Barry was looking at him in fear, William was having the shock of his life. He wasn't that a big shot or someone that mattered before in his life, at least that was the case in this world. But news and events related to monster outbreaks never failed to reach his ears back then. And even if he took this matter quite lightly first, he was now treating such news with all his attention and focus. The red alarm in his mind kept ringing until it was about to explode his head to shreds. This is weird. This is bad. And as he stood in the middle of his little group, he couldn't help but shiver. The events from his past life played themselves again in his mind. During the time of his stay in the academy, only 2 monster outbreaks occurred before that deadly doomsday happened. The 2 belonged to the lightning and wind monsters, bringing no small harm to the academy and its people. Yet not a single monster swarm ever targeted a single clan before, not to mention such a huge-scale monster outbreak. What's wrong? Barry was quite sure that something terrible was going to happen. Tell me. How much leverage do you have in the clan? And without explaining any of what he felt or thought about, William couldn't help but turn to her and ask in such a serious tone. Leverage? What do you mean by that? Barry was puzzled. What her status in the clan and her connections had to do with what was going to happen here. I want help, lots of help. William paused when he noticed her looking around as if she was looking for her family members, not the kind that will need the intervention of them. This. Barry felt much weirder when she heard that. In her eyes, the best leverage she got was the one provided by her grandfather, then her father and uncles. We can't distract them from preparing the clan from taking proper measures against that monster invasion. William had to work his mind fast. And at this moment his vast life experience showed its worth. I understand, and at this moment, Barry was just outplayed with William. The latter felt sorry about that for a brief moment before discarding such feelings aside. Chapter 96 The Terrifying Scarlet Bears. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. William knew if they ever asked for the help of those elders and patriarch, then they'd end up failing in the end. And even if he tried to tell them what he knew, none would ever believe him. Instead of helping him out, they might even imprison them in a place they wouldn't be able to get out from until it would be too late to do anything. I have to go and seek help from my older brothers and sisters then. Barry looked around again, and this time William didn't stop her. Let me go and look for them. Don't leave here, okay? We will wait for you. William didn't mind the look of worry and fright on her face while watching Barry briskly move towards one direction before vanishing. As he watched her leave, he became lost in thoughts. This monster outbreak. No way. Don't tell me it's happening. No way. When I researched about it later on, I got to know that they needed much time to prepare such a wide-scale invasion. This is soon, too soon to use such a deadly tactic to destroy us. But it's a monster outbreak of grade 3 and it's formed entirely from scarlet-type monsters. There is no way it's like that damn outbreak from that time, can it be? His thoughts kept wrestling against themselves while he was squeezing his brain, trying to remember anything he missed. But there wasn't. Facts were like this. When that deadly doomsday happened, monster outbreaks all over the world were all grade 3. Monster outbreaks were classified into 5 known grades by the terms of this world. Grade 5 was the weakest and smallest, while grade 1 was the deadliest and scariest. Of course, he got to call what happened and ended this world as a grade 0 monster outbreak. It was on a scale that no one had ever seen or imagined existing. And it started with a grade 3 warning just like that. And all the monster outbreaks all over the world were formed of scarlet monsters, just like what was happening right now. The trick that monsters did was to keep the deep regions of the forest scattered all over the world, forbidden on any human. And there, they bred the most terrifying kind of monsters, scarlet bears. Scarlet bears shared the same origin as the scarlet monkeys he killed before. They followed the same pattern and attitude, very bloody, very brutal, and they always moved in great numbers. But there was a catch: they needed lots of time to grow, and they needed a zone free of any dangers. Or else their numbers would always stay small and stagnant. Facing a couple hundred scarlet bears wasn't an issue for any gold-grade spirit master. They were like scarlet monkeys for low-grade spirit masters just like William. But if one thought about tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these bears, or even millions of them, then the situation would become very terrifying. Not even a dark gold elite group would escape alive from them. And in such a deadly battle of life and death, dealing with them must be on the premise of killing these monsters and not just running away. William still recalled the scenes from his past. The sheer number of scarlet bears coming up, leading a grander army of other scarlet monsters like leopards, lions, tigers, elephants, and even monkeys was really something no one would easily forget. Even if he faced many dreadful situations after that, including his fight against that damn fox, William still placed this event on top of the list of his deadliest and scariest moments in his entire past life. At least he was the one he sought that fox out and prepared for too long to fight him. And now he had this gut feeling that such a tragedy was about to replay itself again, and this time it was directed solely at him. Without the need to think too much about it, he already guessed the reason behind that. That damn bastard who stole the papers from Barry must have delivered it to the monster leaders. This was the only reason William got to explain all this. Monsters weren't like humans, they had ties and strong relations with the outside world. Seeing these techniques would indicate that the one who did these was just someone with ties with the outside world. And that was something monster leaders truly feared to the bone. They would never allow such a person to exist. No. I'm thinking about it in the wrong way. William thought about all the facts he knew so far, and all told him his guess just now was wrong. Whoever took the techniques from Barry wouldn't link these with him, but with her. I was just unlucky enough to be here. He paused, looked around, or was I lucky? This clan. It wasn't a bad clan in his eyes. They stuck to the rules of supporting humankind and fighting monsters without showing any signs of betrayal. They were one of the strong backbones of the academy, strong spirit masters who shouldn't be allowed to fall here. He knew what was coming, knew how this disastrous battle would develop. And no matter what, such a clan alone was weak and vulnerable against any grade 3 monster outbreak, not to mention this deadly one. Even if things didn't go that wrong, and the enemy couldn't muster up the same terrifying number of scarlet bears like what happened in his past life, this was a clan and not the academy or the kingdom. The patriarch here held some kind of reputation and respect, but that didn't mean all strong clans around would answer their call for help. Many would back off and watch such a strong opponent fall for many reasons. Be it stemming from the deep sense of competition or rivalry, or even the direct orders from monster leaders and dark spirit masters to their traitors to not help, it didn't matter. Chapter 97 Meeting Lang again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The result would still be the same. William clenched both fists and his body faintly trembled out of his immense anger and hatred. He hated his weakness back then, when his world was falling apart, his academy was taken down, and his life was in grave risk. But now, things weren't that much different now. No, things aren't going to end up the same this time. His body trembled again, while this time it was caused by his determination. Yes, he lacked a lot in terms of his overall strength. But he got his knowledge. Young master. Is everything all right? From the side, it was clear how terrible William was looking right now. Only Lena got the courage to ask. Just in the past few minutes, William looked like a ferocious beast, one that'd intimidate all without even moving a finger. We are going to fight, William sucked in a cold air of breath, while moving his eyes among his 3 companions. Tina, can you stay here for now? I'm not weak, the little girl acted out of her age or character at this moment. I can fight, Tina. Please stay here, Lena had to act when William shifted his gaze over to her. He silently asked her for help. William knew how hard the upcoming battle would be. So having such a little girl with them would be a burden. Fine. Tina puffed out her cheeks in such an amusing way. At other times, William would find it funny and even smile or laugh. But his mind was burdened by what was going to happen. Stay here, and don't wander around the place, got it? Don't do any harm, don't cause any trouble, and don't place yourself in any danger of any kind. Lena started to say her long list of warnings, acting like a mother in this moment and not just an older sister. I'm not a little girl. I know how to deal with all this myself. Tina puffed out her chest, acting again out of her age and capabilities. Where are we going? And why are you acting like the end is coming? From the side, all silent and watching in daze, Aerie finally spoke up. Something terrible is coming our way. William realized that he got the 2 girls tied up to him, but not Aerie. For a moment there he thought about letting this dude loose, give him the chance to break free and escape before it was too late. Interesting. Yet unlike what William expected, Aerie's eyes shone brighter. Let me then contribute to this war. Contribute. The selection of words made William unable to comment further. He recalled the origin of Aerie. He was a pride disciple of the academy. Such a word, contribution, wouldn't be said except by those who came from families who served the kingdom in the army. And that befitted Aerie's background. What? Won't you welcome an extra hand? Aerie gave William a deeper look, one that was totally different from what William saw from this dude before. Cool, I just thought you might consider running away with your life. William was straightforward, and when he said that he noticed Barry coming back with a small group of youths. They weren't more than 20, all looking distressed and having a face that told William they were both scared and agitated. And from them, William could ascertain a single familiar face, one he once met before. It was Lang. William got a good impression of that youth. Lang met William when Guanan tried to frame him after the night that he helped Barry at. The group coming with Barry and led by Lang seemed to be mostly around their age. William would estimate if his luck was good, the strongest one would be part of the third-year class, a silver-grade spirit master. Brother William, don't insult me. I came from a father who sacrificed his life for the sake of humanity. He fell on the claws of monsters. And don't mistake it, this kind of trauma made me more eager to follow his path rather than cowardly running away and living a longer life as a pathetic and honorless coward. Well said. At this moment, Barry came and moved away from the group and stood beside William. The one who spoke was Lang, and he got to recognize William just when he came closer. You. He paused, looked in doubt towards William and didn't know what to say or do. Barry might have missed many stressful moments when she was unconscious, but other kids and youths of the clan burdened it all. The news about clearing William's name spread, yet without any explanation of why. The feats William did were all unknown to all the people like Lang. So instead of looking in gratitude like William deserved, he gave William such a heavy gaze. If not for the strict orders from the higher-ups about not coming near William or trying to instigate any conflict with him, Lang would have started a fight right now with him. Lang didn't care about how William cleared his name, he still held the grudge of that lie from before. So. You asked our help for such a liar. Lang ignored William as he turned to Barry, seemingly blaming her. What? Who is the liar? Barry's sudden shout and intense response left Lang hesitant. It's not time for such talk. William knew why Lang acted in such a way towards him. But there was no time to waste in clearing out such misunderstanding, we got little time. Brother Lang, do you know when the monster tide will arrive? Any news about it? Hey Porter, mind your own words while speaking with our young master. Just as William finished his words, one of Lang's entourage blurted out, saying such mean words in such a rude way, he is a second-year disciple, a highly esteemed bronzed spirit master, one you can only aspire to look towards and not speak to. Chapter 98. These are the clan's secrets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Clane, mind your own words or else I swear I'll let my grandpa give you a beating later on. Just when that dude called Clane added his last words, Barry couldn't help but retort back in such an angry way. Barry's attitude was known to all, especially those from her clan, especially those who were close to her age. She was famous for being kind to weak spirit masters and miserable people like porters and pride disciples. But there wasn't a single time that she showed such a fierce response, even to the point of asking for her scary and vulnerable grandfather's intervention. Barry. Let's all calm down first. William was still feeling little guilt about his small lie from before. He knew the kids around Lang knew about such a thing and that was why Clane acted in such aggressiveness. William was the one who started all this, but he got no way out back then except by twisting up facts and not telling the whole truth. After all, I'm going to attend the same class as Brother Lang once this monster outbreak is over. What do you say? This time, Lang's response was that of shock and disbelief. He gave William a look, one that was filled with much warning and threat. The news only spread to his ears about clearing William's name from the crime of treason and working for the Golden Sky Academy. But he never heard a thing about the sudden change in William's status in the academy. Lang took William's words as a lie, another one that he weaved like the one he pulled back then. I vouch for that, but when Barry stood to William's side, there was no room for more talk. Lang knew this was something crazy, quite impossible actually. But if Barry supported such a scary and crazy theory, he had no way to refute it or say anything of what he had in mind. Anyway, soon enough you'll know the truth. William didn't divulge more into this matter, but right now we have an urgent task to do. By whose orders are we going to do such a task? Before William would continue his words, another kid spoke up, yet to be silenced by a sharp gaze from Lang. Under my orders. Low-grade spirit masters like us aren't that needed at the upcoming battle, right? Barry said as she wore such a veil of being a boss. Even the air she emitted showed her demeanor, making Lang's corners of mouth twitch slightly. Yet when he recalled the spreading rumors around the clan, about how Barry managed to get cured from her illness, he exerted more control over himself. Barry always kept herself away from others even close to her age. And so, Lang didn't know her true personality, like many others in the clan and academy. These are bronze and white grade spirit masters. In such a grand battle, bronze grade spirit masters and lower are asked to leave the front line and just secure the inner buildings, Barry said, in a tone that told William she was apologizing for not bringing a real expert over. They will do just fine. Unlike what she expected, William moved his eyes around the group while nodding in satisfaction. He might have expected one or two of them to be at silver grade. But even without any, he wasn't that disappointed at all. What William needed the most was a big number of spirit masters. And he knew dreaming about getting more than that at such a time was a fantasy. And such an arrangement of spirit masters made him admire the order in this clan. Asking bronze spirit masters to fight against monster outbreak of category 3. That was insane and would be like fetching them to their death. So, what are we going to do here? Lang had to speak up while giving another warning gaze to his mates. He didn't want any of them to suffer from another burst of anger from Barry. I'll explain soon enough. William took the lead of this small group, but first tell me all you know about the Monster Tide news. He paused before turning to Barry as he added, is there a place where the clan specified for forging? Sure, we got a big yard filled with ovens, anvils, and everything needed for forging. But why? Barry felt puzzled when William shifted the topic away from the upcoming battle or the reason he asked her to bring these spirit masters here. When she went to look for Lang and the other bronze-grade spirit masters, she thought William asked for them to form a small fighting unit. She thought that her long dream about acting heroic, venturing through herds of monsters with an elite team would come true. You'll know once we arrive there. William paused before adding, you are sure the ores and materials are there as well, right? These are our clan's secrets. Lang got over his surprise and reminded Barry in such an indirect way about such a grave mistake. Nothing is secret to William, yet Barry didn't have the same good impression as William about Lang. She spoke in such a serious and slightly challenging way. I just need an answer. William didn't want to waste more time and just wanted to start his plan. There are more than enough. Barry didn't shift her eyes away from Lang, who could only inwardly sigh. This was the granddaughter of the scary patriarch, which meant she was the acting patriarch in the future if things went by logic. How could he, the one coming from a side family, speak and antagonize the decisions made by her? He did his part to gently remind her, and from her actions just now he knew he succeeded in his job. Other than that, it wasn't his turf or area of his control or responsibility. But he intended to deliver what happened here to the clan elders after the end of this crisis. Chapter 99 Blue Frost Ores and Bronzed Silver Ant Wax. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing an outsider, a porter who he didn't place in his eyes before, a liar who lied to him about Barry's issue, getting to learn about such inside news of the clan made him and all the other spirit masters behind him feeling quite unsettled. Great, William rubbed his hands, let's go then. I'll speak during our run. Run. Barry gave him a questionable look and William simply nodded for her to lead the way. Fine, tag along and don't get lost. She started to run while William shifted his attention towards Lang. Tell me, how bad it is. Well, from the look of it, things aren't that bad, Lang said, and William could only inwardly sigh. Of course, Category 3 Monster Tide wasn't that risky if others came to help, and enough preparations were done. But he knew this wasn't the real situation they were facing. If it was up to him, he'd reassign this grade to become Grade 1 without any hesitation. The monsters coming are in Grade 3, a large scale indeed, but the elders already dispatched teams to ask for help from the academy in other clans. That's if they responded, William muttered to himself without showing anything over his face. He only motioned for Lang to continue. After all, what he needed to know wasn't yet told by this dude. As for the estimated time, Lang got a whim of what William needed to hear the most, and he deliberately left it to the last. The scarlet monsters are coming here in 4 hours, give or take 2. That's not bad. William nodded while muttering these words which made Lang and everyone else mistake his real intentions. He wasn't speaking about the difficulty of the incoming monsters, but the time needed for them to finish their preparations. Can you explain now what you are planning to do? Lang took this chance to ask what he was dying to know. We are here, and just before William would say anything, Barry suddenly shouted, "It's up there." William looked, and up ahead lied a great open space which wasn't even walled. It was filled with big ovens and cauldrons, lots of wood stacked in large batches at one side, while a small group of buildings was on the opposite side. The place was void of anyone, a clear sign that the patriarch and elders already called for everyone they could muster to prepare for battle. Arrangements for war must have been prepared a long time ago, or else this clan wouldn't deserve the title and fame it got. Cool, now listen up. Even before they'd arrived there, William started distributing his orders. What we need is to gather up all the blue frost ores, all the bronzed silver ant wax you can find, plus all the arrows and spears you can get. Arrows. Spears. Lang was puzzled. But the blue frost ores aren't used mainly to forge anything. They are just used to temper the cooling water, adding a faster frosty effect to it. Barry was more puzzled by what William said. She got from her grandfather about how William performed extremely well back at the forging department of the academy. But from the 2 items William asked for, there wasn't any suitable material for forging. And the wax. The bronzed silver ant wax is used just to blend the forged pieces together, making them look much sturdier and firmly attached to each other, Klain said, expressing his knowledge about such a topic. Just do as I say. William knew what he was using right now might be considered an unorthodox method, but it was their hope, their only hope if his bad projection became true. Even if he was totally wrong about anything, the clan wouldn't lose materials of high value. And that was why he was acting this calm. Anything else? Barry rolled her eyes, feeling more helpless to issue her doubts than ever. She was supposed to stand and support William, not antagonizing his actions in the open. These will do. William paused. Just fetch a small group of 3, all must have storage rings to store up the arrows and spears we need. That. Do you think storage rings are so cheap? Do you think we can get such valuable items from the clan at such a time? William calmly looked at Klain, who issued the last comment, as he slowly and confidently replied. Arrows and spears are valuable indeed. But I refuse to believe there aren't extra amounts in the clan right now. If not, then we'll have to forge them ourselves. And you'll be the ones doing this, not me. You. Klain's face changed from such provocative words. In William's eyes, he was already doing this clan a lifetime debt and help. So, he didn't plan to act humble or be conservative in his words or actions. I got my ring, Lang has one too, and Klain got the 3rd. Barry ignored what Klain complained about before stopping in front of the many furnaces and cauldrons as she added, hurry, give 3 fast runners the 3 rings. And get the extra arrows and spears from the clan warehouse. She stressed over her last words, while her eyes glared at Klain. She knew, as everyone in the clan, that the clan's warehouse had tons of such weapons. Any grade can do, and when William said his piece, Barry waved her arms as if they had no other reason to complain. Even if she didn't get what William wanted to do, she was sure he was going to marvel and shock everyone, including her. This wasn't the first time she dealt with him. Back at the forest when he spoke casually and lightly about curing her, she took it as a joke. Yet she now knew he wasn't joking, even if his words and attitude told otherwise. The 3 will go and gather up all the weapons needed then. As everyone didn't move, Barry started to take off her ring before adding, bring all the useless arrows and spears from there, in addition to anything the clan didn't need right now. Chapter 100. A very intense situation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Great, William seemed to ignore the looks of doubt and resentment over the faces of everyone around. Don't forget the 2 materials I asked for. This. Lang was still hesitant about it. Yet under the stern look from Barry on the side, he couldn't help but lower his head and accept such outrageous quests from William. Go. Once he decided, he took his ring out and Klein couldn't object anymore and had to do the same. Barry gave her ring to Lang, and the latter selected 3 of the fast runners in his little group. Don't stop at anything and bring all the needed materials here, he added while looking at Barry to hold her accountable for all this. In his eyes, Barry was bending the clan's rules too much for the sake of an outsider. Even if she was the beloved granddaughter of the mighty patriarch, he was sure she wasn't going to evade punishment after this would be all over. Okay, 3 spirit masters received the rings, nodded their heads and then vanished in high speed. Watching them leave, William nodded his head in satisfaction. They'll become helpful later on. He took a note of these 3 in his mind before turning his attention towards the ovens around. This place seemed to not just harbor the forging work of the clan, but also alchemy. What now? Barry asked from the side, waiting to see what this all would end up at. Go and bring wood, light up all the ovens here. Ah, I need a hammer, the higher the grade the better. This. Dude, the higher the grade of a forging hammer the heavier it will get. Are you sure you can even sustain its weight with the 2 thin arms of yours? Lang couldn't help but comment from the side. Everyone here might not be adept in forging, but such a weakness was apparent up in his eyes. Just do as I say. Troubled from their continuous doubtful questions that wouldn't get them anywhere, William couldn't help but add with a frown, you may not know this, but the survival of your clan depends entirely on you. What the heck are you saying? Klein already was on the opposite side of William. He saw him as an arrogant kid who was wearing a porter outfit. William didn't know this, but part of the indignation and resentment directed at him came just from his white attire. Appearance mattered, and even for spirit masters. To them, what they wore represented their identities. And unconsciously everyone here still saw William as the porter clothes he was wearing, a porter they got used to giving orders to, not receiving orders from. Not everyone was like Barry. I don't know what made you think this way, but my clan. We are strong. Lang from the side couldn't take such words anymore. And while saying these words, he showed off the air of being a bronzed spirit master. William. From the side, Barry knew she wouldn't be able to do anything to calm this terrifyingly growing explosive situation. I'm here to help, but I'm not obliged to do so. William grew tired from such growing hostility against him. If you don't need help and feel so high and mighty, then tell me right now. I'll take my people and leave on the spot. But don't regret your decisions later on. What a rude porter. What if you created a miracle and raised up your spirit power? You are still a bronze spirit master. We have more than what you can count at this stage and beyond. Prosperous. What's going on here? Why are you standing here instead of looking for a shelter? Just when William was about to tell them to scram and move away from his sight, deciding to find a way to convince Barry to come with him, a loud shout came before a figure flashed and appeared in front of the group. Fourth Elder. With the sudden appearance of this spirit master, all of them went into silence and couldn't help but retreat a couple of steps before cupping their hands in respect. Even Barry showed a face of respect mixed with a tinge of fear on her face when she saw him, greeting him in a way she didn't use when meeting up with Gran. And such a simple detail didn't miss William's eyes. Can anyone explain to me? William looked at this young man who was in his late 20th or early 30th. He wasn't as old as Callum or Gran, but looked as confident, releasing an aura like a savage beast. He was strong. And it seemed he got a high ranking and quite a reputation in the clan. William reassessed the man again while Lang dared to speak about what happened here. Even if he felt resentment against William, he didn't block any facts and narrated what truly happened. William didn't find it strange. After all, he got a good impression of this little dude's personality. As for that fourth elder, despite looking young, he got a lot of white hair on his head. It didn't give any feeling aside from being magnanimous, especially if coupled with those pair of sharp faint brown eyes that kept reminding William of the vibrant strong powerhouses he met before in his past life. He was strong, and he got confidence that stemmed from his true abilities without any illusion of arrogance or greed for power. Did you bring my precious clan's gems here and ordered them to waste their time doing such useless things? When the fourth elder heard half of the story, he couldn't help but look at William while speaking in such an enraged way. With his words, a hidden pressure was exerted over William, one that was able to render not only bronze spirit masters, but even silver spirit masters scared. He was a dark gold spirit master. Even if William felt he wasn't as strong as Callum or Gran, he wasn't that far off from them.